Alrighty, I have a knot, and you can see it right there. Well, I can take it with my finger and just push on it, and she's going. So I'm going to try and knock it out, and then I'm going to have to fill it. Nope. Oh boy, there's a bit of filling to do. The other one back here, the knot that's right here, is solid, so that one will be fine. That's the same thing that happened here. I ended up filling this all back in with epoxy, and I used a brown coloring. I'm going to turn this bowl thinner so I don't have to use so much epoxy to fill that. I'm going to take this bowl down about a ½ inch. This knot is going to stay in. I don't have any problems with that one. It's a pretty bowl. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill this hole right here with epoxy. Alrighty, I have a piece of duct tape running across the bottom of the hole, and I've got it leveled out so I can put in as much as I can here and still get it to fill the hole enough so when I put it back on the lathe, I'm down into the epoxy. Alright, I just wanted to show you what I used for my filling the hole, or my epoxy. This stuff is, you can pick this up at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's clear weld, 5-minute, it says setup time, 1-to-1. You have resin, 1 part of resin to 1 part of hardener. Directions are all on the packaging. When you do use it though, it says 5 minutes. That doesn't mean you can put it on and 5 minutes later you can cut it off with your tools. It isn't going to happen. You got to wait a good 24 hours before you actually put it on the lathe and try to turn it off. All I do is grab an old yogurt container. This just don't need much, all right? And fill it up. And you can do a couple different ways you can do it. You can just flip it upside down and squeeze and count. You can actually use a scale. I don't do that. I just make it simple, all right? And I just have a bunch of tongue depressors that I use for mixing and getting my color in. That's what I also want to show you. This is mica powder, and I bought a whole kit here. It's 24 colors. There are some crazy colors in here. I mean, but anyways, I end up using this one almost all the time. This is mica powder, pearlescent pigments. Don't take much as far as how much it takes to use. It leaves a interesting pattern in the epoxy. I used liquids, and I did not like the liquids. The liquids themselves made the epoxy thinner and runny, and that did not help me at all. So I went back and I got the powder, and the powder has never given me a problem. So that's what I use. And now I've got the puddle actually evened out, so it's actually covering all the wood. I've got my epoxy in. You can see it here, and you can see it here. But this one is convex, and this one is concave. So I'm going to do this one first because I don't want to go, I want to have this so it doesn't drop in and then come back out. So I'm going to take down the wood here first to see what I need to get down to get this so it's flush and a continuation. So we're going to do that first, and then I'll switch to the inside. I'm going to try and cut this so it just all blends right in. It doesn't have a drop in. What it is I put the duct tape on, and then the duct tape, there was no way to hold it out like this. So it just ran flat, and it just, I don't know how to do that. There's probably a way to get that so you can get it to cup out, but I don't have that. So let's see if I got enough room in my wood. The wood is probably right now a little over a ½ inch thick. You can tell as I'm cutting it, I haven't even touched the epoxy yet, so I still got to go lower. Ah, there you go. It's just starting to touch the epoxy, so I got to go a little bit further and I will have it done. There it is. So now I'm going to use my scraper and just clean this up, and then that's it. No more off. Oh, I'm happy with that. See where the bubbles have kicked out? So that has to be filled with a CA glue, but that is a little bit of a hump right there. So I'm going to try and clear that out a little bit. Just got to sand that. Now I'm going to go on the inside. Before I go on the inside, I want you to see this just one more time. So we've got the curve that I was looking for, and it's no longer concave. It's flush with the curve. So when I sand this up, it'll all blend in. I'm going to fill that a little bit. All right, now I'm going to try and take the inside of this out And I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but this is probably at least 1/8 of an inch proud this way. So I'm going to cut this out and then reshape this, and then I'm going to decide if I'm going to go any thinner. You can see I'm not even close to the wood yet. So what I'm doing is getting nothing but epoxy. It's heavier down here. And it's gone. Pretty much where I want it. I'm going to use my scraper. All right, that cleaned up here, and I'm cleaned up here. That just needs a little bit of sanding. I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm going to fill that right there. All righty. So I've coated the epoxy where the air bubbles were. I've coated it with brown CA glue, and the one knot, just to fill it in a little bit, I put it also on there. There's a hole in the top right here. I filled that. And then on the other side, the air bubbles that were back here, what I did is I put a pair of rubber gloves on, and I put the CA glue on here, and then just take my finger and just fill the holes and push it in a little bit. Now we're ready to sand this. I've got it all sanded up to 400 grit. My hole filled in quite nicely. I'm very pleased with that. I'm going to take the tail off. And there's that black walnut. This was replaced. This is all epoxy in here. And I filled some epoxy into this one. This is 12.5 inches across. It is 4 inches deep. That was that hole. I'm going to put a sign the bottom and put a tung oil finish on it. These are the 3 bowls I actually did. It's a 3-bowl set of black walnut. I got epoxy in this one. I've got a little bit of epoxy in some of the fill spots here, and I got these 2 here with epoxy in them and CA glue, dark brown CA glue, but it worked quite well.